Each week, one question, 4 expert witnesses, and an answer. It was late afternoon on the 24th of November 2017, Black Friday, a big discount day in the shops, and one of the busiest days of the year for London's famous shopping destination, Oxford Street.
Oh my God, they're actually running!
Hundreds of men, women and children poured out of Oxford Circus station, gripping shopping bags and one another's hands. They were running for their lives. Some were screaming, some crying. Some were on their phones to the police, reporting hearing gunshots. Armed officers soon swarmed the area in search of the attackers, while shoppers were barricaded inside stores. After an hour, the anti-terror operation was over. The police had found nothing. No terrorists, no victims, no guns, no bullets. What makes us fearful? What happens when we're in the grip of fear? And whether it's an emotion we need to get under control. So in this week's inquiry, I want to know, how scared should we be?
Part 1. Fight or flight.
Journalists know scare stories are a great way to get an audience.
Local television news in almost any city or town in the United States, the motto is, if it bleeds, it leads.
Fox News Alert reports of 5 police officers shot tonight in Houston, Texas.
At least 2 people were killed in a 55-car pileup. Another person was killed in an accident in Virginia that brings the total to 3 people dead because of the weather.
Neshoba County Sheriff Larry Myers is talking about Sunday night's discovery of a body. The woman was found down this dirt road.
If you turn on local TV news in the U.S. most any night, anywhere, you'll think that your community is just falling apart, that there's crime everywhere and horrible things going on.
Barry Glassner says there's money to be made from scaring us too.
And so we really should try to think of what is truly the risk and actually what danger are we exposed to, compared with why is somebody trying to make me so anxious? Why are they trying to whip up fear and anxiety in me?
So how scared should we be? A lot less than we are, say all our expert witnesses. Fear is useful. It keeps us out of danger and alive, but it can dull our judgment, which is a problem when it's in so many organisations' interests to scare us. When we feel ourselves getting gripped by fear, our best defence is to interrupt it with questions, to re-engage our rational side that fear is suppressing. And it's important that we try, because if we don't learn to confront our fears, we risk becoming isolated and even unravelling the fabric of society.
From NPR News in Washington, D.C., this is Weekend Edition. I'm Lulu Garcia-Navarro. Good morning. Churches and hotels attacked in Sri Lanka. Dozens are dead, hundreds are wounded. A curfew has been announced. We'll have the latest. And what the Mueller report says about election security. Are we ready for 2020? Our guest says no. Also, another sign of growing inequality. Older and wealthier Americans are piling up credit card debt in record numbers, and it could spell trouble for this economy. Plus, the organist of Notre Dame on what it will take to make music in the cathedral again. It's Easter Sunday, April 21st, 2019. All that and more coming up after this newscast.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Giles Snyder. The wave of bomb attacks on churches and luxury hotels in Sri Lanka on this Easter Sunday caused panic and confusion. Tensions running high there as relatives of the injured argue with police. Hundreds of people were injured in the attacks, and at least 190 now reported dead. Worshippers were targeted as they celebrated Easter. Pictures from St. Sebastian's Church near the capital of Colombo show a scene of devastation with a shattered roof and blood on the pews. Several foreigners among the casualties. The BBC's Ambara Sunetarajan reports on the apparently coordinated attacks.
The timing and the targets were clearly chosen with the aim of causing the maximum possible damage. The churches were packed for Easter services, and it's a busy holiday season for Sri Lanka. A church in the Tamil-dominated city of Batticaloa was among those targeted. A doctor there told the BBC that 27 people had died and some of the injured were in a critical condition. There were explosions in upmarket hotels in Colombo as well. The number of dead is likely to increase. The Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena said he was shocked by the explosions and appealed for calm. Around 7% of the Sri Lankan population are Christians.
There were 8 explosions, and so far there has been no claim of responsibility, but Sri Lanka's State Minister for Defense, Ron Mujawartna, says everything possible is being done to find those behind the attacks.
We have now decided to impose an island-wide curfew until these things settle down. We will, as the government, we will take all necessary action against any extremist group that is operating in our country. Right now, the CID, the police, and the 3 forces are doing all the investigations.
President Trump now among the world leaders condemning the explosions on Twitter. He